And then the last name is Towheed.
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 Towheed. Tow, T-O-W, Heed, H-E-E-D.
Towheed. Is
Towheed.
that Dutch or
No, it's
Indian?
not. It's Arabic Indian.
Okay, okay. Asfar Towheed.
Asfar, A-S-F-A-R, as far as you know.
Asfar.
Not T, just R.
Asfar.
No T, just Asfar.
Okay, without
There's
the
no
T.
T,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Asfar
Asfar.
Towheed.
Tawheed.
Towheed.
T-O-W,
Towheed.
H-E-E-D, as in David. Tawheed, yeah.
Former VP of IT,
Yeah.
global IT or
Just
IT.
IT.
TomTom.
Yeah,
If you don't know TomTom, one of the largest players in mobility of the world,
yeah.
right? So more than
Are you already recording?
I always edit. Don't worry.
Okay, I will like,
We're,
this
we're
is
not going live.
Yeah. What?
Don't worry. Don't worry.
That's
So
good. Yes, it is the largest
yeah,
independent and one of the largest mobility companies. It is not just a navigation; it's a mobility.
mobility company.
Yeah.
Okay, so we try.
Yes,
Yeah.
let's go for it.
So thanks very much.
Welcome.
So hello everyone, this is Carlos. I'm here with the Evolve channel, also with e-commerce, and today I have the pleasure to be sitting with Asfar Towheed. He is the former VP of IT for the TomTom Group, with over 9 years of experience, almost 10 there, working in several projects. If you don't know TomTom, TomTom is one of the largest private players in mobility. They have over 13 divisions in business. We were just talking about it. So, Asfar, thanks so much for this opportunity. I think we're gonna have a great chat here today. I always start with the same with the same question. Give us the big picture. You know, who's Asfar? How you landed the job, and give us a bit about you.
Well, Asfar is an awesome guy to hang around with or smoke a cigar. Other than that, I call myself as a tech professional who enables the wishes of the business, optimizing the business where technology plays a very critical role. Technology is very important, however, it needs to serve a wider business purpose. And I'm one of those people who help enable and accelerate that vision for the business. I've been with the TomTom for as we say, 8+ years or 9ish as we call it. It was quite a chance to start working for TomTom. I was at that moment doing some consulting, and I was brought in to do some consulting. And the day I was supposed to start, then CFO Marina, she offered me a job to come in as a director of strategy and architecture.
Nice.
And one of the first challenges was, can we transform the IT department to the next generation solution? So we started talking about how do you give your employees a competitive employee experience, and that is how the journey started, and the rest is history.
Awesome. We had a chat. You were recently doing roundtable and a panel, right?
Correct.
On the roundtable, you were talking about agile methods, correct?
Is agile the future or the answer?
Yes.
Should we look at it very seriously? Things like
Perfect.
that.
And on your panel,
On the panel, the conversation was about the delta between IT and the business. Why is continues to be there, and how can we bridge it?
and also you talked about the importance of the diversity in the workplace.
Yeah,
right?
so we were talking about skills diversity at a workplace. And when we talk about skill diversity and we are trying to look at your resource pool, existing or acquiring new one, then different diversity plays a role. However, a skill is the leading. So you lead with a skill. If a person is qualified, you should give that person a chance, and you should give a fair chance to people from whether they are female or from different parts of the world or different community.
Nice.
If they are qualified to the job, bring them all over and let them,
Yeah, so
Go for it.
so we're gonna expand on these
Yeah.
three topics. I think it's super interesting. Let's talk with the topic regarding diversity. We hear a lot of blah 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 in regards to diversity today. How do you make a fair, diverse place? Because it's so interesting. I'm for example, myself. You're also from India. In Holland here. We are here today.
Well, that's an example of diversity.
Right, I'm from Brazil,
Yeah.
living in Denmark now for 6 years
Yeah.
plus,
Yeah.
and now working in Holland.
Yeah.
It's crazy, right?
Can't get my head around. Yeah.
So how do you bring diversity to the workplace, and what's the definition of diversity in your opinion?
Yeah, so there are different angles to diversity. One is you look at the diversity from male female perspective. You look at the diversity from a perspective of people from different region or different religion or different parts of the world. For me, the diversity of skill starts with skill. So in a tech world, there was a time when you just needed just a DBA or a developer or a project manager, things like that. Now in the world, even if you're an IT department, you need a product manager. If you are a DevOps, you need a product owner. You need a release train engineer,
Right.
and the analyst job goes to product owners and product managers. So and then you also need internal program managers which are serving internal customer. So that is a diversity of skill set. And it goes on and on, by the way. It's, depending on what you're trying to build and sell to your internal customers. You take a step on the side and then you say, okay, like I'll tell you, I've heard it in the past in my previous life when you are managing data center or server or database. The guys would be like, oh, can a girl do a 24 by 7 job? Of course she can do it. If she's qualified, anybody can do it. So that is where some of the challenge, a mindset thing. It is changing. I can see Netherlands doing a pretty good job. The company I used to work for, TomTom, is very transparent about it, and I can see Philips is another company which does those things. And how do we go there? Because people are not deliberately biased. Maybe it is subconscious. And so one of the conversation was, can we go into a metric-based evaluation
Right.
to hire people, which becomes the leading factor? But then it's still, at the end of the day, it is the connection between the hiring manager and a candidate.
Yeah.
But at that moment, the metrics is the leading factor.
And can you comment on some of the metrics that you had, for example, that made this process more clear?
So in TomTom, the HR has put some tests,
Yeah.
and they do different skill tests. There's a clear number on that, and in some cases you can have a more what do you call it, psychometric tests.
Sure.
Yeah, you can have that. And what I have been considering lately, if whenever I go in my future job, which I've been reading about, is you need to have another thing called AQ. So we look at IQ, we look at EQ, emotional thing. IQ is IQ. Emotional thing is emotional. Like, okay, does the person collaborate, work? It's a team player. And the next one, which is becoming a big deal, which is going to be one of my things in next phase of my whatever role is, to look at AQ.
Right.
This is adaptability. Can the person adapt? Which is very important. So if you look at these metrics, you will rely a lot on these kind of data. However, at the end of the day, still it depends on the hiring manager and how the person feels about the person he or she is hiring. But then it minimizes that unconscious bias to a great level.
Great. I still would like to expand on, because the management in that case is so important. Like having these conversations and putting the conversations on the table. Imagine that you have, I don't know, a party, right?
Yeah.
Christmas party for the company, and someone is like homosexual, and everyone is allowed to bring their spouses, partners, or whatever, and this person might feel, well, afraid of bringing their partner because they don't know what their colleagues are going to think about them, or topics as such. And how do you make this, how do you have this conversation so everything is
So first of all, luckily we are in Netherlands, where this is
Totally.
not
or
a
Scandinavia?
or Scandinavia, where you are from. So my experience in Netherlands is this is not a taboo. I mean, I know so many friends of mine who have partners, and it's like business as usual. In a company, if there are people who are still not open to these things, it starts with the leadership. And I can tell you, in Netherlands, I have not come across where people are hesitant, because this is just business as usual. It's no difference. And if it still exists, then they need to come to the 21st century.
And I tell you, it does, because
I'm pretty sure it does. Yeah.
in Brazil, for example.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you'll go to other parts of the world. There is still a taboo there. However, luckily in this part of the world where we are, this is very different. However, if I end up in Brazil, would I like to create a revolution? I don't know, to be honest. How will I deal with that? I'm not that qualified at the moment, because for me it's a no-brainer.
Yeah,
Like,
it is.
yeah, it's like, why are we still talking about it?
Uh-huh.
But it is. I agree with you. It is an issue.
Interesting. Um, let's talk a little bit about IT, this division, IT and business
Gap.
gap.
Yeah.
Um, the guy I used to work for, Mariano, the CEO of VTech, super brainy, crazy, but amazing guy. I learned so much from him. And he would say, not that IT is dead, but he was more like talking about how teams they should be mirroring each other. So a CFO should have a tech CFO covering her or his ass. A CEO should also have a tech CEO because the discussions they can have more quality. Because otherwise, a CFO, everything is digital. Every department is sort of digitized nowadays, right?
Yeah.
And every tool we use is in the cloud or subscription based, and so you need to understand the mechanics behind that, so you can also propose new stuff. How do you see that?
So before I answer that question, I'm going to answer something totally different, which is my style. Is Let's just stay with the finance stuff or HR. Let's take two these example. We should not look at these things as, oh, it's an SAP system or it's some HR system. No, these are a constellation of systems which make fintech and which makes HR tech. So that is the first mindset, and you have to have that kind of thing. So whoever is at the top, whether it is the business CFO or a tech partner in IT supporting that, they both need to understand that it's not just about having an SAP system. No, how do you rationalize the use of it? So here is an example of that: is the every IT systems that we manage, which becomes a part of some kind of a capex opex conversation,
Right.
it should be seen as a portfolio, like in a stock. Like, is it still giving you return on investment? Does this software still brings you value? That means you want to continue to invest in it. And sometimes for that solution, because remember, it's not technology, it is the fintech. And tomorrow, if you want to buy another system which brings another extra, then that's fine. Going back to your first question about the tech, yes, today in the world we live in, anybody who's in the business leadership position has to understand the technology underpinning their business. Whether it's finance, you understand fintech. If you're head of HR, and I have to tell you, I'm not selling TomTom, but luckily we had those people. The person who leads finance,
Right, right.
he's pretty smart and understanding, and he will be
Technology.
challenged. And there's a good set of people in the business and the tech who support that as well.
Nice.
And same thing with HR. They were driving the agenda, and that is the shift that you have people at the top who understand technology and experience that they want to give to the employees, and then they challenge that.
What is the role of the HR then nowadays? Because it's for me, I think it's so strategic. When you
HR is key.
right,
HR is, we used to always see HR and HR as, oh, get the employee there and then give them the money, salary, and some controversy here and there. HR is the gateway through which the employee comes in and also goes out as your exit interview.
Yeah,
And also they keep a pulse on the health of the company from very different. It's like, like a newspaper
yeah.
is what, the fourth pillar or third pillar of the government, whatever it is. It is that independent body which will go back and tell you to the division head, I know your division is doing very well, but I think people are not really doing well. So HR has gone into a different ball game of attracting talent and helping the company retain, giving policies. Today, retaining talent is the biggest problem because you are not one company, there are 10 other companies who needs exactly the same thing. And in the LinkedIn, you hear people say, people don't leave because they hate their job, they leave because they don't like their manager. Well, that will always be the case. There will always be a case where I want to go do something else.
Yeah.
But we need to do whatever it takes to retain people. And because remember, I have met recruiters since leaving TomTom. They say that companies like TomTom are a prime target to poach people out to other companies because they are, TomTom is a pretty tech-savvy company, and
Right.
while people are talking about DevOps now, we already been doing for many years, so that ways. But I know recruiters are doing further. They are going after Booking.com or Philips or other big companies in Netherlands. So HR needs to see that we don't get poached. So HR plays a very important role, and I have good friends in HR. I'm telling you, it's a very serious business and a stressful business.
Yeah. I could
It's a
imagine.
people management, man. It's
I was just thinking about Aaron, for example.
yeah,
And it's interesting that they specialize in one field
yeah,
of HR, which is commerce. So the founder of the company understands commerce, understands
yeah,
CMS. Aaron has to
yeah,
understand
yeah, yeah,
technology.
yeah.
And I think it becomes even more interesting when you look at HR, which,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
they're
yeah,
recruiters,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
From
yeah.
that perspective, because they need to understand what they're selling or who they're selling, right?
And what they're selling.
And what they're
What
selling.
is it? And let's stay on that point for a bit. Is in the last couple of months, I've spent time in meeting conferences, all these, funny stuff to get together and talk to brilliant people. And you meet a lot of people from HR and recruitment as well. And a lot of time, if your recruitment team is not up to the mark, just on the recruitment side, they miss out on candidates. So HR has become so critical in helping bring people and
Right.
detect, and that's very important.
For you, what are the greatest or the major reasons why people leave the business?
Depending, everybody has their own reasons behind it.
But
It's they sometimes they run out of challenge, and being busy is not a challenge. Sometimes they leave because they want to go do something else. Somebody who has done 8+, he says, okay, I want to go do something else.
yeah, yeah,
Or dissatisfaction at the manager, or they start losing belief in the vision of the company. There are many different reasons. And another one big reason is if somebody comes and gives you a 15% raise in a new job, people will say, okay, thank you very much, I want to go to
yeah,
something else.
yeah,
So there are many reasons, and
yeah.
it's a collection of what triggers people.
Yeah, for me, like I told you about my stress
Yeah,
crisis, right? And I'm
yeah,
very open. I even
yeah,
wrote an article about
yeah,
this. But I need to have ownership.
yeah,
If I didn't have the liberty or freedom to
yeah.
be in Holland, to be in Amsterdam today, and had to explain why I was here, I mean, I wouldn't be talking to the people that I'm reporting to. I just want to give the results and be there, So, but
Yeah.
that's what makes a job meaningful.
And that is one of the things.
You
So
know,
let's stay on that for a bit. You're saying, if you're gonna make me accountable,
Yeah.
you need to make me the owner as well.
Exactly.
And if that doesn't match, it triggers a pain point over a period of 3, 6, 8, 9 months, and people will bugger
Yeah.
off at that. So everybody has his own character. I mean, I know a lot of engineers, they want autonomy in their space. And you explain them that you have an autonomy, but these are the parameters of your autonomy. Because remember, it's not a free world. You
Yeah.
gotta have a structure. Huh?
Some kind of
You gotta have,
structure.
it's not a hippie camp. So we used to say that. Is it a hippie camp
Right.
or what it is? So it needs to be a structure. There needs to be that we're walking towards some kind of a common goal. So that and if some people even don't like that, then
Well,
yeah, it doesn't work out. Then it doesn't work out. So it is very important. It is different thing. As long I believe in my simple experience is I have been lucky enough at TomTom or even previous jobs to work with people around the world with different culture in different country. If you work hard and they believe in the mission of what you're doing for a greater good of the company, they will activate themselves. You need to give that faith to your employees because you can't constantly crack your whip, and because then you're just cracking a whip, and then the first opportunity you get, they're gonna bugger off. So to get the best, take a sports athletes.
good. Yeah, that,
Take anybody, top, Michael Phelps,
uh-huh.
the great swimmer, all the record. Nobody is cracking whip on it. He
Yeah.
believes in a mission, and he has people around him supporting him.
Supporting his mission.
And you name any of those people. However, if I shift my example to the next sports analogy, my favorite is football.
Right.
It's a team sport. So there is a manager which puts a structure and a training program and all those things. Again, that's a classic example of diversity, by the way. So if you take a football team, and again, whether you take Ajax here or any country, and and I'm gonna go for one of the big world famous ones like Manchester United
Right,
or,
right.
or Liverpool or whatever. They attract talent from around the world. They are super talented people with super attitude, but they are learned to play together because they believe in a common goal of winning. And then you have a very smart manager which manages them,
Yeah.
but also gives them the freedom to play, coaches them, and that's it. This is the kind of thing you need to learn from and manage it.
Asfar, very interesting, and I like to pick your brain on managing people internet in different countries because I think you were doing this
Yeah,
quite
yeah,
often,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
And succeeding.
Yeah.
So how do you do that?
Wh- One of the formula for me is I used to make it a point that at least I stay in touch with all my people on either on a small group or individual basis. So again, it's the same story. You bring people together. You don't have just massive 200 people meeting 3 times a year, and your job is done to inspire people. No, you need to interact with them at a smaller. It could be just a small dev team, or it's a small DevOps Scrum team that you want to talk to, and thank them when they do a great job. Thank them. Say, hey guys, thank you very much. That was a great delivery, and this is how it's going to help the business. This is going to enable us, and maybe quite possibly will secure our bonuses. But people want to know, are they contributing to the bigger value chain of the company? And if you constantly remind that, and also when they fail, don't cover up for them. Don't throw them under the bus. Just say, okay, if you have failed, let's recover from it. And if it is an absolutely foolish mistake, then they should be reprimanded for it.
Yeah.
It's all salary grade. The higher you go, less excuses come off the table. There was an incident some time back. There was a mistake done by one of very highly paid engineer, which affected massively. Yeah, then you give them a reprimand. But that is also to know, okay, this is the line that you cross. You should have thought about it because it affects our customer base. Overall, you need to be constantly engaged with your employees. Engagement is not 3 times a year or 2 times a year job, or you just a web. It is a constant business. You know what my biggest biggest time consumer was?
No.
Talking to people. I would get up early in the morning, very early in the morning, and I'll call my teams in India because they're already there in the office and talk to them. Hey, blah, blah, blah. I know what they're working on. I will ask the team leader. I'll ask them, hey, how's that work going? This is good stuff. And they need to know that they matter. People at the top are looking at their work. They're not one isolated team. It doesn't matter which culture, it's the same thing. They want to belong and act as a
So you were going often to how many
India.
countries?
So India, Belgium, the
Okay.
biggest were
Yeah, India and Belgium.
Belgium. We have a big office. I had a small team there. I was visiting Amsterdam mostly, or India. In India, we had two different locations.
Right, right.
One is our own office, and one is with a partner.
We were talking about legacy,
Yeah,
and we're gonna finish up soon.
yeah.
But I want you to talk about the future of technology, how we, cloud, and how businesses are moving forward. What's the future for business that have legacy today? Is it being acquired, or
So I've listened to a lot of people who are challenged by this. And by the way, just being just a little bit older than you, I've heard this legacy conversation since I've been doing this job.
I'm hearing them a lot.
Yeah, when I started working way back, it was a conversation about should we stay with mainframe, or there were different versions of mainframe, the smaller
Yeah,
versions
yeah.
from IBM, or should we go to these other computings, some systems and all, and it used to be called Spark or IBM systems. So there's always going to be a legacy because the technology moves at such a fast pace. You can't just keep throw what you have invested in it. So instead of treating it as a legacy, we should look at it as an investment, as a data mine that you can leverage. And it all depends what form of application you want to term as a legacy. If it's a billing system legacy, well, is it still producing the bill? Yes. If you want to do more with the data, do it in a parallel system. Don't constantly put good money after bad money.
Right.
I believe at some point legacy becomes a thing which it goes on a maintenance, stays healthy, not just maintain in a healthy way, because it is a car which is dependable, which will give you 50 kilometer per hour. Why do you want to?
Yeah.
And then, if you want a better car or a more faster or whatever, then you build a parallel system which one feeds off the other,
Perfect.
and eventually, at some point, you transition off it. A lot of time, people waste energy and money on constantly investing in getting rid of legacy. No, embrace legacy, embrace legacy and leverage your investment in it. There is one of the companies I can't name out there, which we were having the same conversation, and at some point their CIO said, you know what, I can't keep getting rid of this legacy, so I'm going to embrace it. And guess what? They had 60 years worth of product catalog history. That's data. That's customer
Right.
behavior.
Yeah.
What you have been selling with all the data. So legacy will always be there. There are products which would be dead on arrival that becomes legacy. Every our iPhones get legacy within 24 months, but we continue to use it. Again, to conclude, legacy will always be there. We need to be wise to understand how we can use it to leverage our current and future needs, and we should always plan for an application or technology becoming legacy within 3 to 5 years. We should always prepare now for that.
Right.
So the second part of your question is, where is the technology going? Yes, I do believe cloud enablement, and everybody should focus on cloud enablement, public cloud. However, there are some people who are looking into private cloud because they can manage. Because managing data center has become a big problem because all your cool stuff or good stuff has gone to these public cloud companies managing different data centers.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I do believe cloud enablement is very important. If you're going to go acquire a company, software or a solution, you should see that it is already cloud enablement. The second challenge that is coming off is companies who went out with the first wave of small to medium companies went to public cloud, they are getting cloud locked.
Right.
So they need to look at how not to get yourself locked in one cloud system and you can move around if possible. And that power to move from one cloud, public cloud to another, gives you a better bargaining power as well. Or if the vendor says, this is it, then you're done.
Perfect.
Unless you have a 10-year good pricing with them.
Asfar, this is mind-blowing conversation.
Thank you, my friend.
Thank you very much. I'm gonna make you an invitation now.
Okay.
I'm gonna be hosting some roundtables here,
Yeah.
and of course I want to record this, so
Yeah.
we have this on the record.
Yeah.
And I would like to have you there, and we're gonna talk about details. And
Definitely.
things, and,
Well, I'll be more than happy to join you, man.
gonna
I have
be
all the
awesome.
time in the world.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah. Good, Carlos. All right.
This was awesome.
Yeah. Thank you.
I promise you.
Okay. Me too. I enjoyed it.
Cool.
It was a good conversation, to be honest. We talked about a lot of stuff, and there's more to talk.